Hola, Era's Academy. Today's lesson was pretty straightforward. It's lesson 2 from our book, the vocabulary from lesson 2. So the sheets are there in the binders. I'll just go over the words and how to pronounce them. And then there was like one grammar concept, how to show possession. So we'll go over that too. So the nouns are el gato, the cat, la pelota, the ball, el videojuego, the video game. That sounds like a long word, but it's really two shorter words put together. So video is video, juego is game, which is really similar to the verb we learned, juega, which means plays. So juega, plays, juego, game. So video game, el videojuego. El bolso, the purse. El monopatín, the skateboard. El amigo, the friend. That's a boy. La amiga is the friend. That's a girl. Su amigo or su amiga, his friend. Or it could be her friend. And then whether the friend is a boy or a girl will determine whether it's amigo or amiga. Su means his or her, anything, which I have to the column on the right there. The other words, en la calle, in the street, de, of or from, and su, his or her. So you'll just know based on context whether it's his or her, because su means either. The verbs, back to the left-hand column, trae means brings, he or she brings. Ve means he or she sees. Es means is. And monta, rides. So that just expands the vocabulary so that the kids can make so many more sentences. And if you have the books, starting on page 8, you have the vocabulary words with the pictures that we learned in class. And you'll see on the pages how many sentences, the kids can create with just these few words. So that's great speaking practice. And even if you don't have the book, you can throw so many sentences together with the words from the lesson 1 sheet and the lesson 2 sheet. And they don't need to like write them out, just speaking. Just different combinations of like people with verbs and places and objects. There's just so many combinations of sentences. Page 10 goes over el amigo and la amiga and su. So basically his friend and her friend, su amigo and su amiga, and practices that. And then page 11 practices es, right? So like Carolina es la amiga de Eliana, which that brings up the grammar thing that we learned in class today, is to show possession. In English, we use apostrophe S to denote possession, right? Melody's ball. They don't do that in Spanish. There's no apostrophe S. They say the ball of Melody. They structure it like that. So, la pelota de Melody. So, de is very important because that's the word that Spanish-speaking people use to show possession. So, for example, like David's bike, you would say la bicicleta de David. So you always say the object first, and then of, and then the person that it belongs to. Or like el perro de Eliana, or something like that, for example. Eliana's dog. Yeah, so lesson 12 just adds a few more vocab words there, the monta and la calle. 13, I really would not worry about writing at all. So if your child is like super excited and wants to try the writing, go for it. But I think it's more important just learning the vocab from pictures and putting them together and speaking. Because then when you get into writing, you get into like the spelling and how the letters sound and things like that. But if they want to go for it, go for it. And then page 14 is like a game. So you just like form sentences. You play like a guessing game. So you need 2 people to do this, but it can be like parent and child, or like 2 siblings together. One picks a number and the other has to guess which number the other person's thinking of by asking sentences using the object from the row and the column that line up with that number. So it's kind of fun. Sometimes I've done that in class when we have time. Maybe that is something we can do in class sometime. Do that on the board. Yeah, so that's basically it for this week. So adios and have fun practicing.